Hello and welcome again to Piedmont Business Live. I'm your host, Ken Morris, and today we're with Eric King. He is the General Manager of IOT SmartData Labs. Eric, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Ken. Pleasure to be here.
Tell me first, what is the Internet of Things, the IoT, and how does this work?
The Internet of Things is a way that people can connect and get information to the cloud and make decisions. So what a normal system has a sensor. It could be a monitor for your brake. It could be the temperature. It actually could be the smog level out there. And then that information is gathered and actually transported to the cloud. And then once it's in the cloud, the data is stored, analyzed, and then a customer then, once it's analyzed, it's the data or the information is presented to whomever in a dashboard type of format. And then from that, they make decisions. And that could be for a business in terms of, business initiatives in terms of how to save money. It could be doctors in terms of how to monitor health, or just, your own security and to know is someone breaking into your house or something. So that's what the Internet of Things is. It's taking data acquisition all the way down to a dashboard decision so that you can make a decision.
Got it. Okay. So what does your company, IOT SmartData Labs, what do you do in regards to this Internet of
So
Things?
what we try to do is we try to help customers enable their systems, or as a system integrator, make the hardware to sense that data and actually transport it to the cloud. And so we help them with what type of sensors do they need for the type of information they need, what is the right technology to transport to this cloud. It could be the same, like cellular technology, like your cell phone. Mm-hmm. It could be Wi-Fi, like you use at your home, or something like that. It could be Bluetooth that goes into something, then goes to the things. Or it could be some of the newer technologies. Like there's a new technology called Lorna that's great, getting a lot of things because it's low power, but it transmits over 1 to 2 kilometers. And so you're seeing a lot of that type of applications do that. And then we kind of put that together to connect them to the cloud. And then that's kind of where our job stops. And then there are several cloud providers like AWS, which is Amazon Web Services, Microsoft, IBM, right, and various others. And they store the data and then they'll present that out to the customer, whether that's in an enterprise environment, on your phone, on your PC through a portal or a web page. That's some of the ways that some of that happens.
Gotcha. Can you give me some examples of IoT and where we see this in our everyday lives?
Yeah, we see it in all over the place. So a good example, and this is just an early example, is that you see it on ABS brakes and that. So there's a sensor that senses how hard you brake and that. So when you hit on the brake real hard when you're doing it, you feel the brake pedal pass. That's an example of that in your car.
Gotcha.
Now to expand that, you see check engine lights. So there's sensors checking how your car is working and doing that. So that's an example that you see every day kind of working that. And if you expand that to where it is, you're kind of hearing about these driverless cars that are coming out. Well, that's all done with sensors and IoT going to the cloud and mapping that together with like Google Maps and some of those type of things. Another example is in municipalities. Municipalities are starting to use this to make your way of living better, such that they're monitoring trash cans in the cities where they actually route and save the city money by knowing when the trash cans are full. Or in larger metropolitan areas that have smog problems, they have monitors all around the city where they can monitor the smog, and it makes them more alert to understanding, when to issue smog warnings, but also the weather conditions. When they combine that with the weather conditions, they understand that. Now, from a business perspective, people are a good place is airlines. The airlines there's a lot of engines, things, and monitoring of the systems and doing that. So now they can monitor when the wings form, the engines, when it needs maintenance and some of these type of things. And what that does for the airlines is actually saves them money, which they can translate to us as safer flights as well as lower airfares.
Wow. So there are sensors in so many things that we don't even realize.
Absolutely. I mean, there has been an explosion in the last 5 years in the number of sensors that are out there in our everyday lives. And we're going to see them there. You're actually going to see them woven into our clothing to help monitor our health.
Really?
Yes.
That's amazing.
So you're going to see an explosion. I mean, you see, there's a lot of the Fitbit watches that you see out there in the marketplace today. And that's just one example of a health monitoring sensor that's going on. They're monitoring them in the clothing. They're putting them in the headgear so that they can monitor concussion protocols and that. Wow. So they are literally going to touch us every day. I mean, so you see them every day, even though you may not see them.
How about that? So how did you get involved in this Internet of Things?
It's an interesting story. The kind of quote, the Robert Frost, the less traveled path.
Right.
So I'm an engineer, and I came from an engineering background and got into semiconductors. And I moved over to Europe about 20 years ago and lived over there for 5 years. And that was just about the time the wireless and the cellular thing was exploding. So I got to understand a lot about wireless and wireless technologies and as such. And afterwards, I kind of worked with some of the platforms that actually transport the information to the cloud. Well, when we had the economic slowdown in 2006, 2007, I lost my job but got into the consulting business and was working a lot with product marketing and that. So I got to working on building web pages and web systems for customers. And I got to working with databases and clouds. Well, now with the Internet of Things, when you combine the hardware with the software, with the connections to the cloud, I had a unique skill set that a lot of people didn't. So that path that I had taken allowed me to have the skill sets to be able to offer these services to second small tier customers that we deal with on an everyday basis.
Excellent. So how is this IoT affecting the overall economy, local and national?
Well, that's a great question, Ken. According to McKinsey, who's one of the larger consulting companies in the country, by 2020, there are supposed to be, it is 50 million sensors out there. 50 billion sensors.
Good night.
And you've got to realize there's probably right now 5 billion people in the world. So that means there's 10 sensors for every person. And I guess the thing that we see sensors in our everyday lives and don't even realize it. But the impact from a worldwide perspective is it's supposed to be a $1 trillion business.
Wow.
So
holy cow.
So that's the reason why you're seeing companies like Microsoft, IBM, Verizon, all these large corporations are now starting to invest a lot of money into the things. Now, locally, North Carolina has a very unique skill sets and a lot of the things that are needed to build the stuff to help support the IoT market. And a lot of this comes from their past things. When we had Sony Ericsson and some of the other cellular companies up in the Triangle area, they had the skill set in terms of the wireless and the capability to do that, and there were several companies around to do that. Also, when Nortel was around, you had a lot of the telecom expertise that knew how to write a lot of the software and some of that. Here locally with Qorvo, they make the chipsets that go into a lot of these things so that the radios work correctly to do that. And so all this has just kind of come together. And so there's an initiative called NC Riot, and you can look at that at ncriot.org, that there's an initiative both on a state level, supported by the state government, and in the local areas, both. I think there's chapters in the Greensboro area, as well as Raleigh and Charlotte. They're trying to make North Carolina a center of excellence for IoT. Very similar to like how Silicon Valley was for semiconductors, how Detroit is for automobiles. That's what we're trying to do for some of the local efforts that are trying to do here in the IoT market. And that's the reason why we're doing it. And it just so happens that IBM and South are some of the larger players in the marketplace as well. So.
And with cloud technology, you can be based right here in the Triad and work with anybody on Earth.
Absolutely. It's a very much of a virtual type of technology, because you're taking that information through either Wi-Fi or cellular, you're transporting it through an IP address into the cloud, and then once it's in the cloud, you can work with it everywhere. And then that's what makes this such a great business to have locally, as long as you've got the infrastructure to support it.
Right. So if a company is interested in the IoT, how do they get in touch with IoT SmartData Labs and make use of what you guys do?
Well, the best way to sit down and work with this is we have a program that allows second and third tier companies to work with the things. So we provide engineering service, 10 hours of engineering services for an initial affordable rate of $500. And they can sign up for that initial consult or initial hours on our website at www.iotsmartlabs.com.
Okay.
And on the bottom of the page, there's a button that you can click that says, click this button and you can sign up for Thorns, and it'll send you to a form and get your contact information, a little bit about the project, and then we will get back to you and set up an initial consult to sit down and talk with you to find out if, just an initial consult, and then if you're still interested, then you can sign up and actually pay the $500 for those 10 hours.
Gotcha. And that link is also at the bottom of this page, so you can scroll down, take a look, you can hook directly into their website. You'll also see a graphic there that talks about this offer, and we recommend that you go and take a look and see how they can help you out, because these cloud services and Internet of Things, the more information you have, the more effective you are. Am I right?
That's correct. It's all about having more information to make better decisions, and not from your gut, but actually database decisions. And this is what the Internet of Things enables, is database decisions.
Terrific. Eric, thanks so much for being with us and sharing your story, and we wish you great success in your company.
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate the opportunity to sit down and talk about it, and hopefully educate a little bit more about the Internet of Things and what we do.
Terrific. Thanks for tuning in to Piedmont Business Live. We'll see you again next time.